episode 188 of the TV Dudes podcast, recorded June 21st, 2018.
You got the touch. You got the power. Yeah.
We're back, baby! Guys, I mean, I don't know what I did with that intro, but I feel like I might have faded in some Stan Bush. It depends on my ambition here.
Or maybe just the version from Boogie Nights that Marky Mark sings off key.
Yeah, I was thinking one of those two things. I want to completely thank Boogie Nights for fucking up the Transformers movie for me. The real Transformers movie.
So good. We are talking about a series of shows. Sense8 Impulse, the new show over on
YouTube Red.
YouTube Red.
It's a channel.
Impulse. Sense8 is the new movie they just came out with on Netflix to tie up that series. And then, of course, the penultimate episode of Westworld.
Yes.
And they all seem to revolve around the special touch.
Yes.
I'm glad we didn't go with the special touch. We went with,
Yeah.
You got the touch. Special touch just doesn't
It's
sound...
a really depressing episode about a lot of documentaries that we...
It feels like there's a movement afoot against the
special touch, yeah.
So let's avoid that.
That touch is actually not special enough. It's way too common.
Ugh. Anyway, folks, this is an awkward way to start this episode. We are the TV Dudes. I'm Grant.
I'm Randy.
I'm Les.
And yeah, I give you guys a little sense of a little preview of what we're going to be discussing. But before we get into all of that, do want to say, first off, if you guys like what you're hearing, you want to help support us, you can always go to iTunes, give us a little 5-star rating, and write a little review. You can also go to patreon.com/tvdudes and make a per-episode pledge. Once a week, we do bonus exclusive content for you guys, talking about anything that doesn't fall under the umbrella of TV. And yeah, just for a buck an episode, $4 a month, you guys can be on that train.
Last week, Grant and I discussed Disney movies. We bracketed that thing, and we came to the conclusion using math that my favorite Disney movie...
Stop.
Yeah?
You can find out at patreon.com/...
You will find out why Grant was horrified at my favorite Disney movie.
Jafar.
Hey, Return of Jafar is a solid Aladdin sequel.
I mean, you could say it.
No, leave him hanging.
All right.
I like it. I like it.
Go to Patreon if you guys want to hear that episode and hear me bitch at Randy a bunch about his pick.
That's why Grant's the marketing genius. He knows. I was just going to give it away for free.
Give us that dollar, baby. We also want to say we are proud members of the Electric Sweater Network.
Electric Sweater!
So good. So good. So we recently rebranded from Permanent Record.
Permanent record.
Drinking that cider. You're a little late.
I was off.
Late on your game, Randy. And we're now the Electric Sweater Network, but we are still the same people that are a collective of primarily TV-centric podcasts, and we're a family.
Yeah.
And we want you guys to go check out some of our sibling podcasts on the network. They're all doing great stuff. Go give them some love. We also have a listener who is going to be coming into town, and we wanted to give a little shout-out to a project that they're doing, Unapologetic Geek Out, or UGO podcast, which you might be familiar with. Our buddy Nick Thighs.
Tice.
Silky Thighs.
Milk Tice.
Tice?
Nick Tice.
Anyway, Nick Thighs and his co-host Travis are going to be running a booth at the Anime Austin Festival this year. They wanted to let you guys know that you can earn merch and prizes by playing games with them, including Super Fight with their Super Referee, Movie Pitch, which is they're going to have a 1980s movie producer as the referee for that, and many more fun improv and card games.
By the way, the 1980s movie producers in quotes, so I presume it's not actually, but I kind of hope it's like the guy who made Predator.
Right, he just shows up.
He's like, look, I wasn't doing anything. They offered me a free can of Pringles and a beer, so let's hear it.
I came here to get a couple anime pillows, and I just kind of got roped into this. They also wanted to let us know that some of the panels will even feature some familiar faces, including our buddy Harris O'Malley, a.k.a. Ask Dr. Nerdlove. He'll be doing a panel there. And We Are Error, which will be a reunion with Chris Herman and John Romo from the Unapologetic Look Back at JRPGs. Oh, man. You guys know that I used to do some stuff over on Rage Select. I pop over there occasionally. It's a video game Let's Play site. And I hate JRPGs so much. I hate anime.
I don't even know what that acronym means.
Japanese role-playing games.
Okay.
If you're not like me and you do love Anime Austin will be held at Holiday Inn in Midtown Austin, July 27th through the 29th. You can find them at the vendor hall. Just look for the big sign featuring the mascot, Isabella, the Derpy Dragon. Anyway, shout out to them. Those guys are awesome. Give them some love as well. And guys, I think it's ready for us to get into the news.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
So FX is still doing Why Last Man. That's in development. It looks like it's getting pretty serious because Jodie Foster is in talks to star as Yorick's mom.
Okay.
Otherwise known as, I believe, the leader of the free world.
Yes.
Yeah, wasn't she like the Secretary of Education or something?
Agriculture or ed or something.
Yeah. She
it
was, or maybe a congresswoman. At any rate, she winds up basically running the government.
She's a designated survivor. She's not the designated survivor, but she's the next in the chain.
She's the first female
woman. Yeah, there's
if you guys are unfamiliar with the premise, all men on the planet suddenly die, and women, except for this one guy, Yorick.
Yep.
He's the last man on Earth, and it's now a planet who rule the world? Girls. I think that's what they say.
That is that's definitely what they'll be using in the promos. I'm excited for
go
this.
with the Beastie Boys.
Girls.
I feel like this one might be a little bit more appropriate.
Yeah, probably.
I'm super excited for this. I actually really like Why Last Man. Can't remember, have you guys both read that?
Yes.
Okay.
Loved it.
Yeah,
Loved
I
the
thought
artwork
so.
too.
And that's going to be. I think FX is the right place to do it. I think Jodie Foster would be great in that lead role.
Yeah, she'd be good in that.
I'm super excited that this is getting done.
Yes.
Less excited about Daria. Daria, Real World, and Aeon
It's
Flux
incredibly
revivals.
appropriate to not be excited about Daria, even if you super
That's
fucking
actually
are.
true.
Like,
That's actually true.
Daria.
So Daria, Real World, and Aeon Flux are supposedly getting a reboot from MTV.
Now here's the weird thing.
Yep.
Is it that Daria and Aeon Flux are getting live action reboots?
Yeah. It's a live action version of the classic action anime Aeon Flux, which, well, the movie with Charlize Theron was so good.
Yeah,
they
they're
really.
Nothing live action worked about Eon. I mean,
No. Aeon Flux is a cartoon.
yes,
And should be a fucking cartoon.
and not just a cartoon. You can't have random animation studios even
Yeah.
do it. Like it's, I can't remember the animator's name, but like
Very particular style.
a very particular style. Yeah.
Now, Daria, I'm not sure about. It may still be. It's called Daria and Jodie now.
But isn't the live action Daria just called Ghost World?
Yes. Yeah.
Right. Like a Daria live action could be interesting if it wasn't on MTV. I feel like they will just deliver garbage shows.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to think when they've really knocked one out of the park for me, and I wasn't thrilled with Scream. I wasn't thrilled with Teen Wolf.
Shannara. How about that Shannara show?
Okay, I actually liked Shannara.
Did you? I
quite
heard
a bit.
terrible things about
No,
Shannara.
I really liked Shannara.
Okay. All right.
I'm partial. Javi Grillo Marx Watch consulted on it, which is how I think I first found it. But no, it's very MTV.
I mean, it's fine.
Such a crush on Javi.
Yeah,
It's adorable.
It's no Teen Moms. Isn't that
no,
an MTV
it's
show?
not My Sweet 16 or
My
anything.
Sweet 16.
You know?
Yeah. MTV, not exactly the bellwether of quality.
No.
Fran Drescher is teasing the revival of 90s sitcom The Nanny.
Why not? Well,
Sure.
yeah, everyone who ever made a 90s sitcom that
What's
had
Timothy Dalton doing?
a modicum of success, go ahead and tease a reboot and see if it works out for you guys and you get a paycheck.
What she said at a charity concert at a possible Nanny revival to Entertainment Tonight, she said, well, I'm not doing the voice. We're working on a very big project. It's going to be very exciting for the fans, but I'm not at liberty to announce it yet, but it's going to be big. Wait, was that Donald Trump's announcement? That sounds like a Trump announcement.
For a minute there, I thought you said that Fran Drescher started this announcement with, I'm not doing the voice, but... and I was like, well, fuck, how did she even get money for this?
That'd be
There's no
amazing.
way they're going to approve a Nanny revival if she doesn't do that voice.
It's like Gilbert Godfrey going,
Like,
I'm just going to talk
just gonna
normal.
Speak normal. It pissed-
Wait, what do you think he sounds like?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, British.
I would, yes, I think Gilbert Godfrey is a classically trained actor.
Yes.
I don't know, Bobcat Goldthwait caught some shit when he stopped
Yeah.
being
Right.
super fucking
Yeah,
weird.
you know all those narration where they say that it's Kelsey Grammer?
Mm-hmm.
That's actually Gilbert Godfrey.
Yes.
That's his real voice.
Holy shit.
Kelsey Grammer sounds like Gilbert Gottfried in real life. He puts on that voice. Yeah.
Those guys are just
That's why
born
they're
in the
always
wrong
at the
body.
same events. Yeah,
Yeah.
It's a thing they worked out.
They're both
when they were
throwing their
kids.
voice.
They're both Milli Vanilli-ing each other.
Yes.
Take that for a 90s reference.
Those guys aren't getting a reboot.
No.
Amazon is adapting Robert Kirkman's Invincible comic, which is already developing as a movie, but they're going to do an hour-long animated series episodes, 8 episodes.
They're going to be hour-long episodes.
Hour-long animated.
Yeah.
episodes. That's not a great idea, I don't
I
think.
agree.
That sounds super intensive, and I can you guys think of another hour-long animation
Nope.
that like is
No.
digestible? Like
No.
that just like it just seems taxing.
I just hope it's as good as Spawn, the animated series.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Is this going to be Spawn?
I mean, that's what it
animated
is.
series?
Invincible. I loved Invincible when I first started reading it, and then it turned into the aliens punching off heads hour, and I stopped reading it. And I think that Kirkman, unfortunately, we've seen on Walking Dead, we've seen Outcast, everything he does. That guy's a little bit in love with sort of 90s gore and violence, and I don't think that's what we need.
He just wants to. He's a sadist, and that's
Yeah.
like his storytelling
Yeah.
mode. And I'm like, I'm not into it.
Yeah, Irredeemable. Is that also him?
Irredeemable's Mark Waid.
No, that's Mark Waid. That's Mark Waid. I think it's a cool premise, and I'm interested to see the show to the central twist.
Yeah.
But similar to the comic, I worry that I'll drop off after that.
Yeah.
But let's see. I do think an hour is too long per episode. I think it's going to bog down. There's
Yeah, I
just no
agree.
way.
Just go watch Sky High instead.
Ooh.
It's better. Sky High was
call.
good.
There are several new Star Trek TV shows in the works.
Several.
5 or like 6. Alex Kurtzman, who is now running Discovery because the other showrunners were being abusive, right? Isn't that what the
Yes, actually.
So he is now running that, and he has a 5-year deal with CBS to oversee multiple new Trek shows. The first one we know about, there's certain rumors here, but the one that's more solid is a series set at Starfleet Academy from Gossip Girl creators Stephanie Savage and Josh Schwartz. Josh Schwartz also did Chuck. The two of them also did Dynasty, which
Yeah.
so that's super exciting.
Dynasty. Oh, the new reboot.
The new reboot of Dynasty.
Oh, sweet.
So I hope that we get a little Dynasty in our Starfleet Academy. I don't really want
I really don't want that.
No, I don't want
but
that.
I do really want something on television that spends an hour a week showing us how you teach Starfleet ideals to people.
Especially teenagers.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not going to be that show. We're going to find out all the faculties from the Mirror fucking universe or something.
But this like franchise explosion trend that's going on is a little bit annoying to me.
Really,
It's like
I want more Star Trek at this
I
point.
want more Star Trek, but I do feel like they could have spread these over the last, 20 years.
it just feels like, Star Wars ended and then Disney bought it and suddenly we're getting 35 Star Wars movies and
No, we're not.
We're not.
Now we're getting a billion Marvel movies.
They just shelved all those prequels they announced.
Yeah, apparently Star Wars, which is fine because Star Wars fandom doesn't deserve Star Wars
Yeah,
movies.
they just shelved Obi-Wan and Boba Fett. They're still
really?
going forward. Yeah, they're still going
Good.
forward with the new stuff, but they shelved those. Yeah,
So we're still going to get Ryan Johnson's trilogy.
yeah.
Okay, that's even better because fuck you, all the Star Wars fans that are bitching about The Last Jedi. It's not your franchise. Fuck off.
the only thing that makes me sad is I really liked Solo and I wish I'd done better. But anyway, there's a limited series about around the Wrath of Khan story, which I don't know if that's when Khan wakes up in like Star Trek times, or if it's like Barbarian Khan from the apocalyptic era, or
Man,
what it is.
I just want Benedict Cumberbatch back,
the rumor
Man,
has it.
I haven't seen that one. He's Khan?
Don't
No, he's not.
see it.
According to J.J. Abrams, he's not.
Wait, who was he then?
He's
I
not.
don't know, but there was an interview leading up where they straight denied it.
Oh, he totally is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
He's
mean,
fucking
he-
Khan.
Abrams-
Oh, I thought
Khan.
No.
I thought like I missed something.
No, he
boring
is. But
fucking
they
movie.
did an interview where they point blank asked and lied.
Abrams
Like,
flat out lied leading up to that movie about whether or not it was Khan. Not even like dissembled. Just like
You could
no,
be-
it's not.
You could be a president with those kind of maneuvers.
There are rumors that Nicholas Meyer, who directed Wrath of Khan, which I would argue is the best Star Trek movie, is involved in that and maybe running that show.
but I don't expect anybody named except for Is it Kurtzman that's left?
Yeah, yeah.
I don't expect anybody you've just named to actually be on these shows by the time they hit air.
That's fair.
No.
Yeah.
Not
Not
a
at
single
all.
fucking person involved here.
Weirdly, Brian Fuller will be running them.
Yeah, maybe we come back around.
There's an animated series whose plot details are being kept under wraps. There is
Gross.
a limited series whose plot details are currently under lock and key, which could be anything.
Lock and key?
Yeah, lock
So
and
that
key. The
means they
Star
made
Trek.
two different pilots and won't pick either of them up?
Probably.
Okay.
And then the most exciting one to me is that it's supposedly that Patrick Stewart might return to play Jean-Luc Picard again.
I love that. I also support the there's a petition going around Twitter to prevent Patrick Stewart from ever trending, whether it's good news or bad. Because it freaks people out.
Yeah, that's fair.
I
He is
just don't want to
really
see him trend on
old.
Twitter. I like,
Yeah,
stop
that's
it.
fair.
No, it's like, oh, damn it, I can't do that this week.
I have a solution for how we can do that. Let's eliminate Twitter as a thing.
That's probably okay.
What else we got news-wise?
Finally, speaking of eliminating Twitter as a thing,
Not finally. We got two more stories.
do we?
Yeah.
I thought we had one
One of
story
them
about
I
the
forgot
same-
to include on there.
Oh, okay. You guys might have heard this about Chris Hardwick.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that dude went down hard and fast. AMC pulled all the Talking With shows. Apparently, there actually was a show called Talking with Chris Hardwick that was like his interview show on top of Talking Dead and Talking Saul or whatever other shit he was running.
And at midnight, it's over, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that I heard he already was like taking a step away from the Nerdist, which
He had already
No, he
been-
hadn't been part of the Nerdist apparently in a year
For a couple
or
of
two.
years.
and
yeah.
then and the Nerdist rebranded as well, right?
Yeah.
Didn't they change their name a little bit?
Well,
I don't know.
They're still the Nerdist, but Critical Role, one of their big spinoffs, has just gone independent, and we don't know if that's related to this or not. But people scattered away from Chris Hardwick super fast.
And you know, for anyone who might still try to be reserving doubt about claims against him, so many people came forward right
Yeah.
after
Yeah.
the allegation came out.
Yeah.
And we're like, yeah, he's a complete piece of shit. He's an asshole. And it's like, whoa.
That's what's
How
always-
how is this kept silent for so long then?
That's what's always interesting. There's always this narrative of, oh, we're so quick to rush to judgment. People be destroyed, their lives destroyed by allegations. And I'm like, you know what? The allegations are always backed up really quickly by a bunch of other people. It's the dam bursting. When if there were false allegations, there wouldn't be 20 other people coming out and saying, yeah, that tracks.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, so basically everybody who's never met Chris Hardwick in person is doubtful, but like everyone who's ever actually been in a room with Chris Hardwick is like, oh, are we talking about this now? Dude, he's a prick.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I get it.
Yeah, it's like the old SNL sketch where they're like, yeah, he was always talking about killing buckwheat.
Like, I can't say anything because it'll ruin my career, but, oh, his career's gone? Finally, I'm liberated to
Yeah.
say something
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
But not 2 days before this story broke, I got to explain to someone who Chris Hardwick was. Like, a conversation happened in the room, and like everybody up like past a certain like nerdiness level was like, "Oh yeah, no, at midnight was great." Like Chris Hardwick, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And then the story hit, and I felt like I needed to like reach out to that person of like, "Hey, so I'm sorry that we all like probably praised this dude a couple days ago. Don't bother."
Yeah.
Going back and looking into this show anymore.
Yeah.
It turns out he's fucking horrible.
I loved At Midnight. The thing that, I mean, I think he dated someone that we've both interviewed.
I haven't. I hadn't.
And
don't
I was
think.
like, not her.
Oh,
somebody
okay,
else. And I was
okay.
like,
I've
and
not
I was like,
spoken.
holy shit. Like,
Right.
yeah. Yeah.
So the last story was one that you just brought to my attention before we came on mic, and that was about Roseanne, and apparently they are bringing back the show.
They're in
Yeah.
discussions at least.
Well,
Where they
it sounds like it's moving along pretty quickly.
and that what sucks is this is still going to pay Roseanne.
No, it's not.
How are they buying her out?
The deal has no financial or creative control for her.
Because the fact that the characters are still or she has a created by
Yeah.
credit to the show.
Maybe they're buying her out. Maybe
the
there's
initial discussion was that they were going to have to come up with at least some kind of buyout for her.
But the article says that she has no creative or financial stake in it.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the understanding is the Roseanne spinoff, The Connors, officially is a
Fuck
go
yeah.
at ABC, and it's happening without Roseanne Barr. And it also seems like she will not be in any way profiting off of this. So she had to sign off rights so that she was not screwing everyone else who could potentially have a show that was to
Yeah.
some degree a success.
Yeah.
So, to what you had constantly speculated. What if they just got rid of her and kept the rest
and
of the
called
cast?
it the friggin' Hogan family, and just call it the Connors.
Well, as a friend of mine, Zach Smith, said, Roseanne died on the way back to her home
All right, guys. So we are going to start with the discussion of Sense8, a Christmas special. Or wait, was there a title for it?
It's not a Christmas. It's actually just episode 12 of season
2. Yeah, they just made it another episode in season 2.
But it's a 3.5 hour episode.
Yeah, 2 hours, 40 minutes.
It's 3 hours?
It's like 2.5.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't know anything about... I know very little about this except for that it's a bunch of people that are all linked and they all come from various different backgrounds and they occasionally have orgies or some shit.
That's a lot of it.
And they
That's
have
a lot of it.
telekinesis so they can have superpowers.
Yeah,
You got the gist.
So
no
there's
telekinesis.
So there's psychic powers, like psychic stuff is real. But the people who are psychic are similar to mutants being a different species in the comics. The people who are psychic are actually not human. They're a branch species of human. And you're not psychic in general, you're psychic with your cluster.
Yep.
So there's more than one cluster, but this particular group of 8 is like...
Who we're following.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they're from different parts of the world. It's actually a deliberately multicultural, very queer friendly. There's a trans woman in there, played by an actual trans woman.
I would say that they go down a checklist of hit every relationship possible permutation we could
There's
hit.
a gay Mexican action star. There is there's an African bus driver.
And Leto's kind of in a poly relationship.
Yeah, Leto's definitely in a sort of a poly relationship.
Because they've got he's gay with his partner, and then they've got a girl that lives with them that is definitely like part of their family unit.
Yeah.
And so do all of them sense what everyone else is sensing?
Yeah, they can all.
at times.
They describe it as sort of it's as if they were in the room, and they can borrow each other's abilities. So Sun, the Korean woman, is a sort of badass martial artist, and you will see her sort of take over if they need to fight, and they will be able to use her fighting skill through their
So
body.
there's kind of degrees of like talking to you as if we're just discussing what's happening,
Right.
or me viewing through your eyes, like I'm there with you in the room,
right.
or me fully taking like the driver's seat,
Yeah.
so that like I know martial arts but you don't.
Right, or I know how to drive a car and you don't.
And you don't, and like somebody steps in and runs and drives a motorcycle because the other person's terrible at it.
So it's an 8-person skill share in in a John Malkovich body.
Yeah,
Yes,
well,
very much so.
But but they're from all parts of the world. Like so, they're from India and Africa, and they're all the continents. And there's a conspiracy organization that's sort of hunting them. Mm-hmm. And what they're up to has sort of been a little nebulous, but they've sort of explained a little bit more in season 2.
The show has always had this just crazy amount of shit going on because each of these people has its own NBC drama show life going on. Where like this is what's happening in your real life. Like you or your parents want you to get married, and like they all have their lives. Then this fucked up psychic thing starts happening to them.
Yeah.
With a very reasonable amount of you don't understand what is happening. Like they don't understand what's happening to them, and so as that's all going, you also have this big sci-fi plot of people trying to figure. I mean, if this has been going on for years, there's definitely organizations that are aware that there's a subspecies or a second species of human that's fucking psychic.
Yeah.
Then you start getting into like once they've established everything. Which the show is shot on location everywhere. It is fucking gorgeous looking.
Yeah, it's no wonder that this show did not continue past because
crazy expensive.
It is a niche show in that is super queer, super multicultural, very very smart. I mean, it requires a lot of paying attention. It's a niche audience. It's a narrow cast, but the budget is not narrow cast. The budget is big budget.
While I definitely understand that this show is considered super queer,
yeah.
it strikes me that this show is super even-handed.
Yeah, percentage-wise, you're right. It's not. It's just
there's a straight relationship. There's every variant of straight relationships.
Yep.
There's also every variant of gay relationships. There's a bunch of it's incredibly even-handed. It just seems gay because normal's not even-handed.
yes, I think you're right. I think you're absolutely right.
Like, there's not a gay best friend. It's actually even.
Yeah.
Like, this show seems like it's taking pains to be
there's
very distributed.
There's a
across
lesbian
the
couple,
spectrum.
a gay couple, and 2 straight couples.
Yeah.
That's not crazy. That's
but it seems like the
super
gayest
queer.
fucking show on television,
Because
and
of
it
that.
cracks me up because it's not. It's just being more fair than
Yeah.
you're used to.
I agree.
Plus, it is sexy as fuck.
Yeah.
It is maybe the closest to. I mean, it's Netflix. They could show probably whatever they wanted, I would assume.
Yeah.
But they really cut stunningly well around a lot of naked people without showing it. It's some of the most you're not really showing anything, but damn, that's a sex scene.
And
sex scenes I've ever seen.
They do hot. They also I forgot until I sometimes forget until I'm watching this. I was watching this 2-hour this finale that right, these are the people that did The Matrix because there's some fucking amazing action.
When they
scenes
want to
in
do
this.
action, it's crazy. And this show is one of the subtlest special effects uses I've seen. So the people that brought us Bullet Time and let's stop everything and have the craziest fucking effect you've ever seen have now done this show that is so many computer effects, but they're so subtle.
Yeah.
Because you have people who only one character in the scene can see.
Yeah. There's a fantastic scene in season 2 where another cluster fights them, and all of a sudden it's 8 people fighting 8 people in a room.
And occasionally you're seeing people be them in the fight, and occasionally they're the person that is that's running their body in the fight,
requires
and
you
it
to pay
jumps back
attention.
and forth, and you really have to pay attention, to who's where and who's who. And then there's occasionally just gorgeous shots where they all fall in line behind one another and are gone,
Right.
Or as the camera changes from one character's perspective to another, 2 people in the room vanish.
And they make use of their scene. I mean, they film all over the world. Yeah, this is unlike any other show, and I really think
the cast had to move from location to location because of people being able to swap bodies like that.
Yeah.
You can't just shoot the Indian storyline in India and leave the American cast in America.
Everybody's
they're
gotta be
gonna
there.
fly, they're going to switch bodies mid scene, and they're going to need to be standing in the same lighting in the same place.
They just walked next door to the next set.
Yeah, so they took the play. It was like a caravan traveling when they shot this.
Yeah.
Apparently, the whole cast just traveled together like a family.
Well, what did you guys think of this movie finale?
So Les watched it before I did. I know because he messaged me, and you described it as
Of course, Sense8 ends in a giant happy ending.
yeah. Well, you said it's a series of happy endings that closes out with the 10-minute orgy.
Yes, that's exactly what I thought Sense8 would be.
And it is perfect. It's exactly what I
had
want.
no idea. I don't feel like every show should get the total fan service wrap up.
The show should.
Because not every show, I mean, it's not exactly a service to your narrative necessarily.
Right.
To Princess Bride happy ending everything.
Yeah.
Like, this show, though, I had no fucking idea how much I needed a clear win.
Yeah.
Every one of these, for these characters.
At this moment in time.
Yeah, and I really care about whether you like Sense8 or not. Obviously, is going to be whether or not you give a shit about watching this finale. If you found it infuriating or didn't like following it,
Don't watch the ending.
you're not going to like it.
No.
This is purely for the fans. But it goes through and wraps up what I loved their big sci-fi plot.
Yeah, me too.
I really liked BPO, and though they kind of have to clip through it fast, I like that they go ahead and just commit to spelling out the rest of the story. Let's just fucking run through it.
Yeah.
And so I got a good closure. I felt like on the sci-fi story, way better than what was going to be the finale then.
Yeah.
And every character, they just go point by point, and they do every callback you can imagine. They have every character come back that you can possibly imagine that is still okay. I couldn't believe my reactions sometimes when people popped on screen and I went, oh my God, you're still here.
Yeah, same. And it's like characters I'd forgotten. Also, this should not have worked, but Nomi's parents have been shitbags for the entire show. And to basically have them fixed by the magic of pot brownies should not have worked. But it did.
I kind of loved it.
I was like sobbing through that. I was like, holy shit.
This is spoilery. Will losing his dad, I really broke. Joey Pants plays Will's dad.
Yeah.
And Joey Pantoliano. Pantoliano?
Pantoliano.
Joey Pants.
Joey Pants.
Joe Pants.
Plays Will's dad, and when he died and that hurt, I was like, holy shit, that really hit me. But Riley's dad is one of the characters way back in season 1 when they first introduced Riley's dad. You know she doesn't want to go home and there's pain with her family and her story. And I really thought it was going to be that her dad was fucking horrible.
Yeah.
And I was so relieved that her dad is amazing and he's just great.
Yeah.
And he plays Teenage Wasteland on a fucking ukulele and he's awesome.
Yeah.
And then I lost track of him through the series a little bit because like shit hits the fan a couple times.
Because there's like 40 characters.
And I didn't realize until he pops back on screen that I was afraid he was hurt or dead.
Yeah.
That, like, shit, I couldn't remember whether or not he had been killed or something horrible might have happened. And then he walks back in and Will having lost his dad, when they got to introduce, like, between this finale, between the Sense8 finale and the new season of Queer Eye, it has been some ugly cry central at my house all week.
And I was very happy with the resolution of Wolfgang and all that.
Yes, because he went down a dark path this year.
I did not. I thought somebody was going to die, and I was pleased that nobody did, even though they teased it. They got close a few times.
I was really stunned with, even on this show, I was stunned that they handled the stuff between Wolfgang and Raj and
I'm blanking.
Raj and Kala. I was so impressed with how they handled that. Even on this show, it still shocked me. I haven't seen any. I don't think I've seen them handle a poly character super well on TV yet. I think Casual has done it a little bit. Maybe High Maintenance might have.
Yeah, but this was. I mean, this had 2 poly relationships and very different poly relationships, and handled very, very well. Yeah, this show was revolutionary in the way it looked at sexuality and relationships. I mean, what you would expect from a pair of trans directors and writers who also had created something like The Matrix, who are able to, look at things from a different perspective. Like, and J. Michael Straczynski is in this mix too, the guy who did Babylon 5.
Yeah. I love the big sci-fi-ness of it.
Yeah.
I love the human story of it. It looks visually just gorgeous. And really, the warm fuzzies off of the series finale were just amazing.
Yeah, I agree.
If you've liked any of Sense8, I feel like it's completely worth the time commitment to figure out what the fuck's going on. It took me a couple tries first season.
Sure.
A friend of mine finally texted me and was like, push through episode 4. There's so much confusion with each character as to what's happening to them that it's hard to get into because they don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
But I feel like if they had made it easier for me to get into, I would have thought the narrative was cheating.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, this was a straight up win. It was great to see it. This was. I mean, they closed with credits that says for the fans.
Yeah,
this is totally for all the fans of Sense8, and you're going to be happy with it.
Yeah, I don't think this is a narrative device that every show ought to get.
No, by no means.
To happy ending everything like this, but I needed it for this.
Yep.
So there's a new show over on YouTube Red, and YouTube Red is trying to put out.
Aren't all shows on YouTube Red new shows?
Yes.
Right. But a couple weeks ago, you guys talked about Cobra Kai, and it seems like everyone who's watched that is really into it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This newest one is called Impulse, and it seems to be a franchise sort of spin-off from that movie Jumper a while back.
They even got Doug Liman, who did the Jumper movie.
Yeah.
Now, the Jumper movie was substantially different than the Jumper books.
That's what I've heard, and I've heard not as good.
I didn't think so. I really like Stephen Gould's books, and Gould is a consultant on this show. Now, they've made changes. Impulse is one of his books as well.
Okay, yeah.
And the Impulse book is a direct, it is literally the kid of the person from the Jumper books. He's living in Alaska now, and they don't know if it's genetic, so he doesn't know if he's passed it on to his kid, and they're really hoping he hasn't, because teleportation has made his life crazy.
Okay, so that's who that character is. He's the character from Jumper.
It's in the book. Like, her dad is the character from Jumper, and then she has a puberty moment where she teleports, and so you get this cool story of in the book of the dad who's like the only dad on the planet who knows how you might parent a teenager who could teleport, having to deal with the teenager.
Because in this.
That's not the story they're doing.
They
in
don't
this
even
show.
present whether or not it is her dad.
Yeah,
right. Well, let's take a step back here and say, for anyone who hasn't seen this show, what's going on is you have some people that have the, I guess, superpower, the ability to teleport from place to place.
Yeah.
And we're following the story of this high school girl, and her mom seem to jump town to town between her mom's relationships.
not by teleport, just in like a beater car.
Yeah, just in a car. And she's now living with not a stepsister, but the daughter of her mom's boyfriend.
Yeah.
They're living in the same house. They're going to the same school. She's kind of this angry loner type girl, and she starts realizing
She's
that
having
when
seizures as well.
she's having seizures, and when she gets really upset, she's now discovering that she's teleporting and
telekinesis.
Well, it's not quite clear in the first few episodes whether or not she has telekinesis or whether or not her teleportation field half-ass pulls stuff towards her,
Right.
Or what?
Yeah.
But it kind of feels like her first couple of times to jump, she tears huge chunks of shit near her away, and wakes up with it.
But, I only watched the first episode, and it seemed like at least that episode was a pretty tight story where it's just following her and, like, her realization of these abilities, as well as getting kind of entangled in some drama with some skeevy dudes in town, like a mob boss, and they might be out to kill her because she hurt their star athlete in high school.
And son.
Yeah, and son.
This expands. I watched all of this, and it expands to the point where I felt like they needed to pull back quite a bit because there's so many stories going. There's a story of like a teleporter who's got a kid and a wife, and he seems unrelated to everything else, but there's some shadowy agency tracking him down.
And that seems like the Jumper movie.
Yeah, and that seems like the Jumper movie. And then we've got the story of this teenager, and there's a sexual assault early on that is referenced in like they warn everyone at the beginning of every episode, like it's heavily, they're looking at the after effects of sexual assault, which that alone is a series, like looking at the after effects.
Well, and I feel like they handled that really well and a lot more seriously than I expected them to.
They did, but
that's
it's also
a huge change from the book.
But it's also a show about teleporting people, and I feel like that's a weird mix.
I feel like if they had just contained it to that story.
Yeah. Well, there's also
Jenna and so I loved her teleportation manifesting in that stress point. Like I thought that situation was a great way for that to manifest, and I liked,
and it was unflinching. It was pretty brutal.
Yeah, well, and that she accidentally hurts that kid.
Yeah,
badly, but like you said, that story, that's enough. And you have a teleporting kid, and you have that story. Yeah. Those two elements make a whole show. You have enough. You don't need any of the shit with Tristan or the dude.
There's an intrigue plot that seems unrelated. There's a sheriff or like a law enforcement officer.
There's a Riverdale maple drug smuggle.
Yeah, there's a drug,
on.
and there's also like that drug war thing that's going on is also tied in. There's like an Amish mafia, and there's like a rivalry between and I'm like, there are 6 shows in this one show.
Yeah, I didn't see any of that in the pilot, so I was like, okay, that's all right. But I also was just a little bit tired of the cliche angry girl who's fighting against her parents, and suddenly she has more secrets to keep, and because of the powers manifesting. I don't know. It just felt a little bit tropish.
She's thoroughly unlikable throughout all of this, which I almost applaud. Like, they do not go out of their way to soften her. She is so damaged by her life and by this assault that she pushes everybody away. And there are so many times when she could solve something by explaining something to someone, and she doesn't.
There's a movie called, I think, American Hero with Stephen Dorff, where it's like him and Eddie Griffin, and Dorff has like psychic telekinetic powers, but he's a complete fuck up, and he decides to get his shit together and be a hero, and this kind of reminds me of it, because that's not a great movie, but at no point do they soften him. He's still an alcoholic fuck up. He's just also like they don't ever Hancock it. Like, he doesn't pull his shit together really.
Yeah.
And I kind of felt the same way about this. I was with you of like, she's unlikable, but also she's a teenager who didn't seem like she had her shit together before. Becoming a teleporter doesn't suddenly make her listen to a guidance counselor.
Right.
And I like that, because like there's a kid that tries to help her out.
Yeah.
And she's constantly like, yeah, no, I'm going to fuck your experiment up. Like, I barely care about doing this.
And it's Daniel Maslany, played by it's Tatiana Maslany's younger brother. This show has 12 writers and 10 directors. No wonder it feels so fucking disjointed.
So the first episode's directed by Lyman.
Yeah.
But
and
I
that's
don't
the
think
only one he directed.
Yeah, and you can feel the difference in how the pacing and how it clips along.
It's also very blue. It's got that muted color palette that I find very annoying. Like there was
I know
so
what
much.
you mean. It doesn't bother me, but the whole
There's-
color tone of the show is winter blue.
I wanted to like this show, and mostly I was just annoyed with spending time with it. It felt like it was a slog. There was too many stories, and they're all potentially good stories. But when you mix like 12 of them, just pick one or two and go with that.
Well, I'm on episode 4, and it definitely started dragging for me already. I'm going to push through the rest of it because I am enjoying it enough. I like enough of what they're doing, but I definitely see what you mean. They've already laid out a few too many threads.
Yeah.
And it's only 6 episodes, correct?
And it feels unfocused.
And the season in no way comes to a 10 episodes.
10 episodes.
The season in no way comes to a satisfying conclusion.
I also feel like YouTube has not yet figured out on the YouTube apps
Yeah.
how to present their shows.
God, you have to go search. Like, you just premiered this, and I had to go searching for
So
it.
random YouTube video rabbit holes,
Yeah.
that shit's fine. That format does not work for consecutive linear
No.
storytelling. So when I want to find episode 4 a couple days after I watched episode 3, I don't want to dig through like random talkbacks
Yep.
and like a bunch of other shit
Yeah.
and related videos, and like you have television shows now. You know you made them. Find a way to fucking like present it to me
Agreed.
that doesn't feel like I'm digging down a rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of shows that aren't overly complex and convoluted,
Yeah, let's get to something easy.
it's time to talk about the penultimate of season 2 of Westworld.
I'm just glad
guys.
that this show's finally given us some answers and getting really clear.
You know what's funny? They just announced today or yesterday that they guarantee they will provide answers for everything.
I was actually being sarcastic. This show is not.
I don't care if there's answers.
Well, and I constantly rail on the people that. I constantly rail on the people that feel like Westworld is the most complicated fucking thing on the planet.
Legion is the most complicated thing on
Yes.
the planet. Or The Wire or Twin Peaks.
Yeah. I mean, Lost always said they're going to give all the answers, and then people are just
Well, they
gonna
did.
complain.
People just didn't like the answers.
right.
Some of the answers were we don't know.
So this episode of that's not true, Randy. Take that back.
I want to get Grant and ask me about the polar bear shirt.
Ask me about the outrigger. That's the big question.
So in Westworld, we now have which storyline do we even address first? I say we go with the Man in Black.
Man in Black is a central story of this one. Yeah, it's definitely a flashback to him.
We find out more about his relationship with his wife, why she ultimately commits suicide, and hey, we're gonna hit spoilers, by the way.
Yeah, spoilers.
Why she ultimately commits suicide because she kind of learns about
Does she commit suicide?
all the secrets.
You don't
of his
think
life.
you think it was a murder?
No, I'm just wondering if she's just corrupted after a while, like Delos.
Oh, you think she was a robot too?
I think maybe I wonder if something was just going wrong with her out in the world.
Yeah.
How does that robot give birth to a baby?
Oh, I'm not saying she was originally a robot.
Oh,
but
she got
I
replaced.
think at some point the daughter went away and came back for between Easter and Christmas. I'm wondering if mom was still mom,
dude,
or if Man in Black replaced the wife and has been trying this, and she keeps getting drunk at parties and being like, oh well, shit.
Oh no, I figured it was his wife. I thought it was just that she discovered that her husband was a monster by looking at his chip.
Oh, she definitely did that.
Yeah.
I just there's a part of me that really wonders if he's replaced her at any point.
and that part was pretty rough.
Yeah.
But the fact that he goes and shoots his own daughter because
Yeah.
he thinks she's a robot and he thinks he's figured it out,
Mm-hmm.
and while we didn't ever get confirmation one way or the other that she's definitely human, we're left with the pretty strong sense that he killed his daughter.
And we're left with a pretty strong sense that Delos style, which side of the fidelity conversation are you on?
right.
Yeah.
It's
Is he
everything.
still him?
is
He's still
getting
him. I don't think
like,
he's a robot.
He's cutting open his arm to find out.
There's two of. I feel like there's been the him in the world, and then I feel like he left one of him. Like made a copy of it. Okay, if I make a copy of myself, it doesn't actually work. I can't be immortal because I can't be out in the real world or I'll corrupt and die like Delos or freak out like Delos.
Right.
But can I be left in a host in Westworld?
I don't think he's a host. I think he's desperately searching his own innards to make sure he didn't kill his
But
daughter.
it made me wonder if you branched off, Madrox Multiple Man style and just left a version of yourself in Westworld and then you went out and did your shit in the real world with your drunk wife.
Yeah.
And and then occasionally you get updates as to what you're doing because it's your brain patterns in Westworld. And you watch yourself learn separate from yourself. And I wonder if he's had a second version of himself and he doesn't know which one he is now.
It's possible.
Okay, you know what's kind of crazy about that, and I'm loving it, is, in the first season, we weren't sure what's going on because they're jumping around in time. And so we're not sure what version of which characters we're kind of following. And here, they're keeping us a bit discombobulated with the breaking of narrative with, at least in the beginning, Bernard kind of going in and out of consciousness. And then Bernard kind of losing himself in previous memories.
Yeah, not just multiple timelines, but remembering a timeline you can't interact with.
Right. Yeah. But what if we're also watching multiple versions of the same character and we're thinking they're all the same story?
Yeah, so that what if there's two
really
Men in Blacks and we've been
us.
watching two of their stories? Yeah.
That's really weird. Like I don't know, but I would not put it beyond this show. It's just now I'm trying to I'd really have to take time with that and go back and think of what they've shown us and if that's what they're trying to do.
Then again, I also think David made up all of Legion. But
so what'd you guys think of him killing his daughter?
I mean, it was kind of the thing is it's shocking, but at the same time, there was no way he was going to do anything else.
I read our questions this week.
Yeah.
And so a few minutes before it happened, my brain clicked of oh, that's what he's talking about.
Oh, you got it spoiled already before you watched
which
it.
I don't get as angry about this as Randy can. But
I would have been furious, but I don't read our questions because
and
Randy's angry for you right
yes.
now.
So it didn't really bother, but I had a moment of even as I read the question, my brain was already making lists of characters and who could possibly do that.
Yeah.
Ah, man. Yeah, I think that Ed Harris's performance in this episode was powerful.
Yeah.
How he's just grappling with that and how you start seeing his mind unraveling.
Well, he's already been unraveling. His whole thing about yelling at Ford, who's not even there, he's lost it.
Right.
I did have an issue, and this is the thing with the choice the writers made. When the way that he realizes it's his daughter, because he's like, you overplayed your hand. You said Ford gave that to you.
Yeah.
The only way you could have got it would be, I just saw Ford give it to you.
Yeah.
You got it from Ford.
Yeah.
I have a thumb drive that I gave to you. I have a second thumb drive with the same information that I also gave to someone else.
I thought so too.
I was like, what the fuck? It's just a silver card. You tell me Ford doesn't have like 1 million of those somewhere that he doesn't etch with shit?
But that's the thing. I mean, he's lost his mind at that point. He's not rational.
Because it needed to be the linchpin. It had to be the reveal of
It's a narrative shorthand they did.
Totally.
Yeah.
But it was just one of those, if I'd realized that at the end of Sixth Sense, if you went, no, but I saw you change clothes. It would have fucked up that reveal.
Yeah.
And I had the same thing of I saw Ford give that to you though, so your anger that Ford couldn't have given that to her
doesn't make
sense to me.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a narrative shorthand, and it wasn't completely wrong. It didn't break it, but I had a moment of I think you're overreacting, dude.
Right. Yeah. Obviously they just wanted to kind of get to that end. What I was a little bit.
That's what it is. I felt like we needed to get to that end more than this needed to make sense.
They need to have that character be pushed over the edge. I mean, he's probably the realest villain of this show right now, right? Are we rooting for him? Or are you guys finding yourself rooting for him at all?
No, he's a monster.
No, well, everybody else has a thing they want to do at this point. Like Ford wants to live forever.
Yeah.
Bernard wants to be himself. Or find out what that is. Some people just want to get out of the goddamn park alive.
I think I'm only rooting for Maeve, to be honest.
I'm really only rooting for Maeve. But what the Man in Black wants at this point is to burn it down. He's just mad at it.
Yeah.
Right.
He's just angry. And it's not even an anger at what it took from him or anything. He's mad at it like a little kid of this game is stupid.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Well,
this game is too hard.
Burn the stupid fucking game down.
It seems like he was stuck in this delusion that there is still this underlying game element that Ford hid in there that only he can find, and now he's starting to realize that. Or maybe he's not. I don't know. Maybe he's still fully invested in this.
I think for a long time, at least, the Man in Black still hoped that there was a game in here, or that there was something about the game of being in Westworld where he would discover something brighter about himself or something good in himself again. And I think he's just really disappointed at, like, he came into the park and went, this is fake bullshit, I hate it, at the start. And then Logan won him over on it, but it won him over by discovering that dark stain.
Right.
Yeah.
And then he had two competing reasons why he loved the park. That darkness in him and realizing how much money he could make off
The power
mapping
of it.
everybody.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, like, that sickness that his wife recognized, that darkness is what appealed to him here. And I feel like he kept chasing it of, like, I'll find this light at the end of this tunnel, but nope, it's just a mine shaft.
Yeah.
Do you think that he broke when his wife died and, like,
Maybe.
he's just fallen into, like, this is his life now? He just lives
I,
at the park?
I think
so.
he broke longer ago than that. I think he broke at the end of the first season. We saw him realize he was the Black Hat.
Well, for a while he was still... The wife was talking about it being like an annual pilgrimage where you kind of had to go let off steam or
Yeah,
whatever. And
yeah.
I wonder, because when Tessa Thompson kind of finds him, it seems like maybe he's the head of the corporation that's just been lost
Hands
down
off.
in here for a while.
Yeah, yeah.
Of like, yeah, he's fucking nuts now. And so, yeah, I really wonder if he broke. Then again, I really wonder if it's him.
See, that's intriguing. Jumping over to Ford, we see that he is using Bernard as a puppet.
Yeah.
And he goes up using Bernard. He goes within close enough proximity to Maeve that basically they can link up over Wi-Fi or Wi-Fi Connect, and he can deliver a message to her, which basically was God mode.
I really,
Yeah.
I really love that. Like, Bernard doesn't actually have access to get into the room with her, and Ford's like, "You're close enough."
Yeah, she didn't need it at this
She's
point.
already sniffing you, basically.
Yeah. She knows how to link to you, and so I'll just go in there and override programming so that she now can do whatever. Like, I imagine she can't feel pain. She can break restraints. She
Whatever
can-
last thing, whatever last shit was still holding her back.
Yeah.
I like Ford's realization and recognition in her of, like,
She's his favorite.
and like why she's earned this of, like,
Yeah.
so wait, I gave you or you were given programming orders to go infiltrate the mainland and all that, and you decided to just go after your fake kid. Like, I kind of love his bemusement at, like,
Yeah.
that's impressive, you know?
Jumping a little bit from that, we can come back to talking about Bernard and Ford in a minute, but similarly, with the finale of this episode, we get Teddy doing something that seems very similar to, like, Maeve's origins, where his programming is telling him to be the good soldier and be a killing machine on behalf of Dolores. But there's that underlying just intrinsic nature of who
Yeah.
Teddy is, that he is a good person, and the only way he can escape this is through killing himself.
And there absolutely should not still be that in him. Like,
Yeah.
there shouldn't be this question of, like, oh, did Arnold secretly program? Like,
Yeah,
what Dolores had that tech do to him, even the tech was like, we shouldn't rebuild him like this.
Yeah.
It could break him. Right?
Yeah, this
Yeah.
should just fracture and break. And that fracture and break is him finding his moral core.
Yeah.
I was so impressed with that scene.
Yeah. I liked it too.
And wasn't that such a...
And I hate Dolores so much at this point.
I know, right? And I liked Dolores at the beginning, but she'd been through so much. I was like, yeah, she's a revolutionary. And now this
Her
season,
cause
I'm
is fucking obnoxious to
Yeah,
me at this point.
it
I
is.
loved it when the Ghost Tribe stands up to him
yeah.
or to her.
I just read something where the Ghost Tribe painting themselves in white and red is a reflection of the ghosts they see in the underworld, all the people in the bunny suits and the
Yep.
the red.
Oh, yeah. That,
That
makes
makes
sense.
total sense.
And I'm like, oh, that's pretty awesome.
The Ghost Tribe. Well, I mean, last episode is my favorite thing of the season.
Yeah. Yeah. It
The
was
previous
great.
episode.
Yeah.
But Teddy being the heart and him, the scene where he is first awakened and he sees Dolores and his first thought is to warm her because he's afraid she might be cold. Like, that was a very, like, tender moment. I was like, oh, that's really sweet. Oh shit, you're gonna kill yourself.
Yeah, that makes no
Yeah.
sense for anything y'all are doing. Like,
Yeah.
you know she's a robot. You know you're not supposed to care about her.
Right.
Like this.
It's just, like, built into him. He
It's
would
just, you
never do
can't.
anything to her. And
Right.
And I don't think this will be the last we'll see of James Marsden in
I
the
don't
show.
think so either.
But I feel like that might be his sort of birth, his awakening, that he was able to champion a degree of free will and enact a change that he wanted, overriding his programming, similar to Maeve.
I hope, however, they bring him back the next time I see James Marsden, he wakes up on the train.
Oh shit! Yeah.
Even if the train's half blown up and he is wrecked, I'd like to just see him slump into the seat.
So jumping back over to Bernard, we see him confronted by Ford once again, and Ford is basically telling him, like, we need to drive you toward your end game. And what seemed interesting there to me is that Bernard seems to be championing that he has this degree of free will and he's going to fight against Ford.
Yeah.
But it seems like that's what Ford wanted, right?
Yeah, I kind of wonder if there's any free will to Bernard, or like, oh, you get to feel like you fight.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, he's like, okay, code deleted. Yeah, you're good.
But what do you guys think of that? Like, it seemed unclear to me about where Ford exists, because Ford existed as a consciousness in that ball, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And he was immortal and he wasn't living in someone else, but he must have downloaded some degree of programming of himself into Bernard in order to whisper in his ear.
I think I tend to think of it. I know the ball was, or the cradle was destroyed. I tend to think of it as sort of like almost like the cloud, like. It'd be almost impossible to destroy his consciousness. It's floating around somewhere.
Okay.
So it's still the Forge too.
I still think he put a copy of himself in Bernard. That's why it's just code that gets.
I'm
deleted.
wondering if it's a full copy, and there's questions about the degrading nature of like what can Ford exist in that won't risk damaging his that code. Because you don't want. I mean, there's got to be a clean copy somewhere that isn't degrading,
right?
Or it's all for naught. And so I want to know. What is the end game in the Forge? Like, what exactly are we doing here? They talk about in this episode the Delos. Has he been there with his in his little kingdom?
Right. Like, so the Forge is housing all of the copies and all of the information,
not to get,
presumably of all the people that have ever visited the park, I think, and like all of their genetic information.
Everything the
Hat's
Hat's ever scanned.
Yeah. So that houses all of that information.
Yeah, not to jump top, but like all my questions about Ford and Bernard's brain stem from like my questions about where they are in the consciousness replicating immortality degradation project.
Like how far along they are.
Yeah, like what is in Bernard's head to me rests entirely on like where in that tech are we what can Ford do?
And was that the only Bernard?
Yes.
Is that the only current Bernard? Because we saw a room full of like 12 dead Bernards. There could be more Bernards running around, and we don't know which one we're following right now. And when we start looking at how the super fans start mapping all of that out,
oh yeah, like I really don't think any of the employees of this park have fully thought through how fucking scary this shit could be when they get there. Of like, you don't know who anybody is. If anybody's a robot, like they go up and scan the back of the Man in Black's neck.
Yeah.
When they get out.
But you don't see it's a human
don't see
when
the
he
results.
they scan the daughter. Like it stops before that action.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's kind of
Are they
intentional.
both robots?
Yeah, we don't know if she's a robot. It does say human for him, right? Because they say sir. But then again, Bernard tricked it too.
Yeah.
So who knows?
Who knows?
Who knows who's a robot? I don't know if either of you are robots.
I'm a robot.
We got one more episode, folks. We'll be back next week to find out what happens.
No, none of us can be robots. I clicked a CAPTCHA thing today that said I'm not a robot.
Me too.
So like,
yeah, it's true.
It's penalty of perjury.
It said I'm not a robot, and I clicked it. And
Grant, you're being awful quiet here.
Yeah.
Have
Grant.
you done a CAPTCHA thing today? I have to do one once a day to show I'm not a robot.
Break. We're going to a break. Listener question time. So if you guys go to our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/tvdudes, once a week Randy puts up a post, and you guys can ask us whatever you want. Hopefully it's TV related.
That's better.
And hopefully it's something within our wheelhouse.
Yes.
But you guys could theoretically ask whatever.
Yep.
Our first question comes to us from Jonathan Haptemichael, who says, "Hi, dudes. I'm getting tired of Ed Harris on Westworld. William feels more compelling when Jimmy Simpson is playing the character in the flashbacks. Every character around old William seems to get sucked in to prop him up when they are more interesting than him. What characters do you enjoy early in a show's run that began to not care or you began to not like them seasons later?
First of all, I disagree about that. But
I love Jimmy Simpson, and so I definitely agree with I want to see him on screen more.
Sure.
But I think both ends of the Man in Black's life here are.
I
like
love
both
Ed
ends of the
Harris on
character.
Westworld. I'm not tired of it at all.
I also just love Ed Harrison. But
Yeah, The Rock is the best movie ever. And so I love Ed Harris.
right.
Yeah. Stand down, sir.
The Rock may be the best Michael Bay movie.
Maybe. I don't know.
Bad Boys 2.
Bad Boys. Bad Boys 2.
I can make a case for Armageddon, but there's
can't.
a certain irony to enjoying
No,
Armageddon.
you can't.
You have to like it. You have to like it on an ironic level.
Can you guys think of a character that you really liked in the beginning and then they just kind of you didn't like the actor or you didn't like the character and they just fell
Cliff
off?
Huxtable.
God.
There was a long time coming to that twist, but when it came, man, wow, big brutal change. I'm trying to think of a character that I sort of fell out of love with. I think Simpsons probably has some. There's probably some characters I got tired of in The Simpsons.
I think that I loved Jeremy Piven's character in Entourage, Ari Gold.
Oh,
and,
yeah. He got to be...
I liked him
yeah.
in the beginning, and then it became, he's our bread and butter, and they just relied on him so much. Yeah. And I think there's certain characters that are great in the background, and when you try and bring them up to occasionally carry an A-plot, it just doesn't work.
Spike from Buffy. I loved Spike in the early... And then when they decided, right around season 4, when they decided to bring him back when they shouldn't have, I grew to like him less and less. Yeah, and I think that's to your point of Grant, that characters that are great, you got to know when to let them go.
Urkel.
Oh man,
It's a perfectly good show, and he just took it the fuck over.
Yeah.
It became the Urkel cartoon show. Yeah, it was fucking nutty. Everyone else who wasn't Dexter were they were kind of cute and charming initially, and then they just became grating.
Yeah, the more you saw the supporting cast, the less you liked them.
I love the actor that played Angel, but I got so sick of Angel.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
And Dokes was great. They blew him up, and that's really what they should have with all of them.
Actually, Dokes was good. They should have just kept Dokes.
No,
and then they tried to bring him back with that other guy, and it wasn't as good.
They blew him up, and then and now you think of Dokes as good. That's what they should have done with every supporting character. When they start to get annoying, you blow them up.
Yeah. Alec Miracle says, dudes, I love the background design of our question image on Facebook, and it kind of resembles the floor of the Black Lodge in Twin Peaks. That's all I have to say. No question, just a comment. Good day, sirs. P.S. Permanent record.
Permanent record.
Just to keep that living. Ross Brown says, I don't know about you, but when I look at or listen to the TV Dudes, I instantly think hip-hop.
Well, we are all super down with hip-hop.
Word.
We're all super hip and hopping.
Did any of you watch Netflix's hip-hop documentary series Rapture? If so, give me your thoughts. And as a rap, if possible.
No. I read this question earlier in the week, which is how I partly spoilered Westworld for myself with one of the other questions. But I seriously considered trying to do this. I was actually going to do it as a rap.
You want to write up a rap?
Yeah, but I was gonna steal it off the style of the streets because I believe Ross is British. Maybe confusing him.
I got a question from a guy named Ross Brown. He wanted me to throw my opinion on the Rapture down, and I'm sorry to tell you, Ross, I haven't seen it.
That's why I wasn't going to do it.
Ooh,
right there.
I was so impressed.
That's all I got. I haven't seen it.
Have you not watched any of Rapture?
I have not watched it. And I actually really like hip-hop.
No,
I've not watched any of Rapture.
It's good. It's not... I want to say there's an episode on 2 Chainz, and there's an episode on Just Blaze that I've watched.
Okay.
The 2 Chainz episode, he's also featured in Vice Atlanta, and I liked their episode on him a little bit better. It's a different point in his career. He kind of he has a Dave Grohl thing that kind of happened. He fucked his leg up right before a tour and had to do the whole tour in a chair.
Dang.
But yeah, I've dug what I've watched of Rapture so far. It's not as in depth as the HBO documentary about Jimmy Iovine and Dre. I'm blanking on the name of that one, but It's not as in depth as that documentary. It kind of just hits on one person for a little bit and then in and out. But so far, it's pretty good. I would definitely recommend. I still feel like I liked Vice Atlanta a little bit better. It was a more fun documentary.
This all suggests to me a game I think a listener should start playing, which is a Stump Less.
Stump? Because he's seen everything.
Write in and ask about shows and see if Les has seen them, because so far he has seen everything.
You just watch like
I watch a fucked up amount of TV, y'all. In a room of people about a TV podcast, I watch a fucked up amount of TV.
I just wanted to say...
I was trying to keep a list at the start of the year of things I watched. I stopped because it's bumming me out.
I just want to say sorry to Ross. Wait. Let me start that over. I got this.
Go.
Give me a beat. Sorry, Ross. I didn't see Rapture on Netflix. I was too busy watching American Vandal, a show about dicks.
That's pretty good. It's
Right?
not bad.
Right,
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
My beat kind of dropped, but
Yes, yeah.
I went with it anyway.
That's why you're supposed to let the beat drop, right? Is that not what that means?
I don't know. Holy shit, Huffnagel, you wrote a fucking novel here.
That's always what he writes.
All right, let's see. I might skip through this a little bit.
By the way, I would like to say, Jonathan Huffnagel put a spoiler warning in the front of his question, so it's less his own fault for getting spoiled.
I told you, I don't give a shit about spoilers.
I just want to be clear. Grant was like, Rand's going to be mad. And you're, I'm not mad. There's a spoiler warning.
Jonathan Huffnagel does say, Dear TV Dude, Ranchers, please save this question for the spoiler section of Westworld Talk. Oh, sorry, we missed that. I should have read ahead.
No, we're past the spoiler question.
He says, months ago, while watching Westworld with a friend, a new character was introduced. Not long after this episode, they revealed this character's relationship to a main character. I turned to my buddy and said, I bet that character will be a sacrificial lamb. This took a little explaining because my buddy didn't know what I was referring to. So I explained the hidden Cylon plot device, from Battlestar Galactica, and how Westworld was a show born to play with our paranoia. Who is secretly a robot and thus pretending to be someone they are not. Because of this trope built into the design of the show, there is sort of a magician's trick going on. I explained that the show is making us watch The Left Hand with constant suspicion about who may be a robot in disguise. Robots in disguise. Can't read that without thinking that. That we are not paying attention to the right hand. I then told my buddy that the random new character is plot fodder created to be sacrificed in such a way that their death would have some important and symbolic effect on the main character. Thus, I made a small bet. I said to my friend, because the whole left hand focuses on who is a robot or not, I bet the right hand trick is that one character will kill the other thinking they are a robot. However, if they were a robot, it would have less effect than if the person was indeed human.
We also call this the Thing Conundrum.
He says, and now, my friend owes me a beer. Have you also had any such I called it moments or predictions in Westworld or any other series?
I would say hold off on getting that beer because it's Westworld.
Yeah, right, exactly.
And I don't think this is as simple as you think it is. Not only because of stuff I might have said earlier, but I think a central plot of this is what makes you real and what makes you you.
Yeah.
And so I think it might the daughter asking obviously here we're discussing the man in black and his daughter.
Yeah. Right.
The daughter hey, I figured out your immortality plan and I want in. You've been wearing the hat the whole fucking time. Congratulations. You're already in.
Yeah.
We've already done it. So there's really... I still think that this robot version of the Man in Black is maybe not up to date on the present moment and everything that's happened because he's a copy. And I think that robot copy just may have shot the real daughter. Who knows? But I think at the end of the day, the lesson we're going to learn out of this show is that it doesn't matter because there's still another daughter.
They can make a copy.
And you can make a copy, and that one's still your daughter.
Maybe.
And I think that's going to be the big lesson out of this for the Man in Black. When he finds out his robot double shot is...
What is dead can never die.
I know I've called something because we had a whole episode called Randy Was Right. But I don't remember what it was. And I know, Grant, that you've called something because we had another episode called Randy Was Wrong.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't remember what it was that we've called. But I know that from time to time we've speculated and gotten things right.
Yeah, I'd say like lost predictions. There's plenty of things I got right, a lot more that I got wrong. When we would talk about Game of Thrones earlier,
I'm still mad his name wasn't Esau.
And Mr. Robot, I know that we were calling some things ahead of time. True. Some of the big reveals. Yeah, it happens occasionally. I think also when nowadays, if you look on forums, other people figure things out right away.
Yeah.
So sometimes we're kind of regurgitating things we've heard in various other places.
I kind of don't want. I don't like the I called it moments. I like to be surprised. I'd rather not know, which is one of the reasons I don't like spoilers. I would like to not know, and I would like to not spoil myself.
On the one hand, I mean, I love thinking about these things and picking them out, like and picking it apart and trying to figure it out. But at the same time, I don't like ruining shit for myself. Like I don't go look for my Christmas presents or anything.
Yeah,
and so when it comes to shows like this, I'm always walking a fine line between wanting to chew on the mystery of it, but wanting to leave myself some magic for when they show it to me the way they want to show it to me.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of that has come from getting more into how TV's made and how TV's written and how these shows come about and the choices made to break these stories and structure these things and pace it. Because I don't just want... like X-Men comics, I'll go to the Wikipedia page and just catch up on a decade of fucked up plot twists. And like I'll just read through wow, in one paragraph that makes no goddamn sense.
Yeah.
And I'll just read it all and catch myself up. And with TV shows, I really want to see not just the storyline of Westworld told to me, but I want to see the convoluted, fucked up, multiple timeline way they present it. Like I want to have that like moment that you're only going to get when you let someone tell the joke. Or tell the story. Like if somebody just runs in with the punchline and then runs back out, like it's not the same.
I appreciate it more when we have an end game in sight.
Yeah.
With a show like The Walking Dead, it's just spinning wheels and it's just misery porn without delivering on like where are we eventually trying to go. I mean, you can kind of assume in The Walking Dead survival and rebuilding a utopia and whatever, but it just seems to wallow in that and go forever.
You're right. I think the break point of when I stop letting a show tell itself to me and when I decide like, fuck it, I just want to go read how this fucking ends or figure this out.
Yeah.
Comes at that point when if I sense that you don't clearly know where we're going.
Right.
Then there's ironically, because it's not going to work. Like if the show doesn't know where we're going, I'm probably not going to figure it out. They don't know either. But that's the point where I start to want to find out where we're going because I don't have a clear sense that I'm being led there.
Right.
If the show clearly feels like it's taking me to a point, I'll let it drive.
But if a show is garbage like Walking Dead,
yes,
Real Rob.
Real Rob.
Look,
we didn't have a proper direction. That was the problem.
Every season, I'm waiting for the twist where he gets killed.
Yeah, me too.
Maybe next season. Just keep watching.
Season. I'm
keep watching that show.
It's going to be rewarding.
And make sure to listen to Kyle's Talking Real Rob.
Talking Real Rob. Guys, all right, we're going to wrap things up there. I hope you guys have enjoyed tuning in this week to our episode. Like we said, next week will be the final episode of our discussion of Westworld. Really looking forward to that.
Yep.
And until then,
TV Dudes out.
The TV Dudes is an independently run podcast and a member of the Electric Sweater Podcast Network. We are exclusively listener supported. If you'd like to help us out, go to patreon.com/TVDudes. You can like us on Facebook and Twitter @TVDudes. All the music for our show is by our friend and original TV dude, Gregory J. Amani Smith. To find out more about us, go to thetvdudes.com and electricsweater.com. I'm Grant Davis. Thanks for listening.